But what's good with Jonas is he's coming to win the Tour.
Yep.
That's the main thing. He's not coming here to finish second place. He's going to take it to Tadej to try and win the race.
Right.
Whereas Remco...
With a team to support that.
Yes. Whereas Remco, during the week, I saw his comments talking about what was success for him at this Tour de France. And he said a stage wins in the time trial and a podium place. That kind of tells you his mindset coming into this, that having seen what he had at the Dauphiné, maybe he believes that the win is a little bit beyond him. So it will be a two-horse race, wasn't it, this Tour?
All right, everybody. That was new. Welcome back to the Move podcast. Talking about the 2025 Tour de France. This will be the preview show, of course. I'm Lance, joined by Sir Bradley Wiggins to my left. All the way to the left, Mr. George Hincapie. And via Zoom, our guy, Johan Brunel. And do not be confused. Johan is not, Bradley was a little confused. He is not in Paris. As has been the case for the last couple of years, Ketone IQ will be our presenting sponsor each and every day. A couple of other cool things to note and flashbacks. Alan, of course, will be here every day on audio telling us where we're starting, where we're finishing. And new for this year, we had a little bit of it last year. We had a dab. But new this year, we will be live each and every day on Peacock here in the U.S. So what does that mean? That means if you're watching the race, I think you just keep it on. I don't know how all this stuff works, but you keep it on that channel. That'll then go into the post-race show with TJ Van Garderen, Brent Bookwalter, and then you just keep it on that channel, and then it'll roll right in to us, the Move. How's that?
Great. I mean,
that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of an anticlimactic intro. I mean, we're back. 2025 Tour de France. We got Sir Bradley Wiggins with us for the whole time this year. I don't know about y'all, but I'm super excited. And I know Lance is. It might not have come across that way just now, but
it's a long race.
We're excited.
It's a long race. It's a long race. We got to ease into this thing. This is going to be an interesting tour. We're going to break it down. This is just at a high level. And, of course, having Johan here is a real treat because he studies, well, maybe not Sir Bradley, but he studies this stuff a hell of a lot more than George and I do. Right?
Yeah, correct.
That's not very excited. Who's the one that's not excited? One other housekeeping thing, because we've gotten a lot of questions. We will be doing a daily episode of Outcomes. I personally will be betting on Spencer and Johan's predictions. We'll just keep a running index and figure out how they're doing. It's pretty amazing. And last thing, before we jump into it, a new show, Sir Bradley. What are we calling it, Bradley? You're a big fan of the name.
Sir Bradley Wiggins and the Johan Show.
That's not what you called it a minute ago. It was called the Sir Wiggo and Johan Show.
Oh, is that what it's called?
It's your show, so
I don't know.
We don't know.
Johan,
Coatland says Sir Wiggo and Johan Show.
I left it in the hands of our creative team here at We Do. And what they've come up with is quite extraordinary.
Johan, what did you decide?
It's the Sir Wiggo and Johan Show.
There you go,
wow,
folks. There you go.
Genius.
There you go,
Biblical.
folks.
Biblical.
Today's show brought to you by Element. Folks, you hear us talk about it all the time. It is that time of the year, despite the fact that it is the 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. It is pouring rain outside in Aspen. Not too many people sweating, but we do sweat a lot in the summer, and I'm not afraid to say it. That's just, a pretty much projectile sweat. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, no sugar, no gluten, no artificial ingredients, no BS. It is the real deal. And best of all, if you don't like it, give it to a friend. An Element will refund you. This is how it works. You'll try out the Element sample pack. That doubles down on our most popular flavors, the citrus salt, the raspberry salt, watermelon salt, and orange salt. Personally, I love the orange salt. This offer is available for new and returning customer. This offer is also exclusively available through partners like us, The Move. Get a free 8-count sample pack of Element's most popular drink mix flavors with any purchase at drinklmnt.com/themove. That's drinklmnt.com/themove.
My personal favorite is the new lemon salt flavor. Okay. Have you had it? It's great.
I haven't.
Very, very good. I like half a watermelon sachet and half a raspberry.
Oh.
Also today brought to you by Roca. And if you're watching the show, which I strongly encourage people to watch the show, let me look at the man down here to my far left. Look at my man. I mean, he rolls up to the house, and I was like, bro, those aren't Rokas. He calls up the company, all right, and says, I want this frame, and I want transition lenses. So the man is sitting down there, a la Tom Ford.
Yep.
Okay.
I actually have a new slogan for them too. They're clear indoors, and as soon as I walk outside, they're sunny. So what's business indoors, party outdoors. Roka.
Wow.
Did that? I don't know if that hit, Bradley. Did that hit with you?
It did, yeah. Yeah, beautiful.
They have completely reinvented eyewear. Now, I might revise that and say that George is attempting to reinvent eyewear. Also, too, to note, their prescription glasses have the same exact technology as their performance sunglasses. Unbelievably lightweight, the best optics on the market. They never slip, no matter how sweaty you get. And also, another cool factoid, they work very closely with the Special Forces, hand-built to order in my hometown of Austin, Texas. The Move listeners get 20% off. Just go to Roka, that's R-O-K-A, Roka.com. Use the code THEMOVE at checkout. Last one here for a bit. Today's show brought to you by, yet again, love to have these folks back, Ventum Bikes. Of course, everybody up at this desk, pretty much everybody on this team is rocking a Ventum bike. I got here in Aspen, I've got my NS1, I've got my GS1. I personally, I love my GS1. I travel so much. It is the bike that I take with me on the road. You just never know what you're going to get into. Also, in the past, I know it's been really popular with y'all listeners. The daily trivia. Ventum is back with the daily trivia, all right? And check this out. The grand prize is $5,000. $5,000, baby, to put towards any Ventum bike you want. And just like last year, they're offering a standing discount for the entire tour. That's 10% off site-wide using the code THEMOVE10. Also 20% off any NS1 builds with the code NS120. Check out Ventum at ventumracing.com/TheMove. All right, let's get into it. 2025 tour at a high level, right? Don't we break it down? And Sir Bradley, you were talking about this on the drive over, just your impressions of this first week, call it the first half. At a very high level, you sort of say first half, no uphill finishes, all the climbing concentrated into the back half. But for now, let's talk about this first half. Then you layer in potentially the weather element, wind, rain, tight roads, hectic first week.
It's going to be filthy.
Filthy. That is the word you used.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for everyone, whichever type of rider you are. But more so the GC guys, splits, losing time, the wind and the rain, if it happens. The saving grace is that time trial on stage 5, which is also an added pressure for guys that want to keep to the front that potentially can take yellow there. Right. I'm thinking specifically of Remco.
But you sort of start to you sort out the pecking order. Yeah. Right, and so guys will just be. But we all know this, right? That those weeks like this or halves like this, you have everything to lose. And not a lot to gain. It's not a great scenario. No, it's great for fans. It's great for the spectators because a lot can happen. But the nerves will be high.
It's back to like sort of old school start of the Tour de France. I mean, the last couple of years, the first couple of stages were so hard that the GC guys were just focused on their climbing and potentially a lot less risk. Now, my guess is these GC guys are going in with a lot more nerves because a lot more. Bad luck can happen with the wind, the rain, guys risking their lives to win a stage, guys risking their lives to make the breakaways. So everybody can be there at the final. Like potentially a full peloton can be there, or there could be splits and crashes. I mean, there's just so many things that can happen in this first 10 days that it's going to be action-packed, exciting to watch. But as a GC guy, I would be super nervous. Yep. As our team, I would be confident, like back in the day, because you had the guys in the wind, in the rain, and the classic Tour type guys. Like I think Visma's pretty packed in that sense, but still a lot of nerves.
Johan, your impressions, but layer in. You have, I think we all agree. I mean, you have more intel, so to speak, when it comes to the peloton and races, certainly like the Tour, but layer that in. What impressions of the Tour overall, and then specifically this first half?
Yeah, it's like Bradley says, it's the first week, the first 10 days actually, except the time trial, is hectic. We're going back to old school Tour de France scenarios. If you look at last year's tour, the year before, we had hard stages in the first week. Stage 4, I think, last year was already over the Galibier. The year before also was in the Pyrenees over Marie Blanc. So this is completely different. So I think in terms of stress for the GC riders, it's going to be massive. The sprinters have a lot of opportunities. I think also in those first 10 days, there's a few stages which are really very, very ideal for breakaways. So we'll have to see what the sprinters teams want to do. But this is the Tour. Every single opportunity they have to take it. So we see less and less breakaways, right? And since this Tour, it's heavy loaded on sprinters. There's the best sprinters of the world are here, and these teams will obviously not let any opportunity slip away. I think it's interesting to see that at stage 5, that time trial in the middle of those first 10 stages. That's really the key point where we're going to see the first real head-to-heads of it between the GC guys. I don't think there's going to be any surprises. It's a 33-kilometer time trial, not very hard for specialists. Normally, Remco should win that, and I even see him take yellow there. And so, from then on, of course, if Remco's in yellow, he will try to defend it at least until stage 12. That's a little bit what I foresee. I also foresee that stage 1 will be won by Tim Merlier. He's very famous to win the first sprint in any Grand Tour he has participated, and he has won already, I think, 10 races this year or 12. I don't remember now. So yeah, I mean, what's for sure, it's very, very nervous. You guys know very well what it is the first week of the Tour. But the way this Tour de France is designed, it's very stressful.
Let's not, Johan, I agree with you. And historically, that's the way I think it would go. But the way they're racing these days, the way what we've witnessed in races like the Dauphiné, the top 3, 4, 5 guys now are so much stronger that they're able to make differences on Category 4 climbs. Where back in the day, that was never happening. These guys are taking the chances to attack when nobody's expecting it, and they're able to ride away from the best riders in the world, essentially. So we're seeing a different style of racing. We're seeing a Jonas, for instance, in the press conference saying he's coming in a lot heavier than last year with a lot more muscle. Why? I think because he's getting ready for these first 10 days. Exactly. Just to be able to battle out with the classics guys, make the differences on these normally non-essential climbs that don't make differences usually, but they're making the differences now. Any chance they can get, they're racing so aggressively. So I think we're going to see more action than expected from these GC guys in the first couple stages.
And I also think that having, I don't know. I mean, it's always hard. You look at a Jonas Vingegaard and the kid says he's put on muscle. He's quote unquote bulked up. Hard to see.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about
I don't see that. However, we talk about if you've watched the news or watched the weather in Europe, it's been unseasonably and extremely hot, right? A lot of places, 100 plus degrees Fahrenheit. Then you come to the start of the Tour, obviously hectic, obviously hard. And we're talking about 60 degrees, overcast, potentially rainy, windy. Then it doesn't hurt to have, a little, I don't know if you want to call it an extra layer, but we come in with some reserves.
We're talking about professional cycling here. We're not talking about you and Bradley who are all yoked up from the gym days. We're talking about 1 kilo, 2 kilos makes all the difference in the world. So if this guy's coming in 1 kilo more heavier, he knows. And he knows that it's from muscle, so he's thinking it's power.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm going to believe him, and I don't hate it. I think he'll want it. Johan, just one note, and I do think it's. I just learned this yesterday. You talked about, or you mentioned that all the best sprinters in the world are here. I might just take a second to note that Mads Peterson is not here. So Trek has decided to bring Jonathan Milan. Not sure what to believe or think about that, but apparently Mads Peterson not entirely content with that decision. Now, obviously, he had a great Giro. That was always the plan. It just shows these guys, the Giro's great. The Giro's fine, right? But the Tour is the Tour, right? And so that's...
Where did you hear he wasn't happy about that?
I would... our resident propeller head, Spencer Martin, got that scoop.
Got it. That's a big scoop. 'Cause
That's a big
the
scoop.
year that he had, the Classics, the Giro, I'm thinking he's content with his year so
Yeah,
far and has later season plans.
And don't quote me on this, but I believe his view was something to the effect that I'm gonna bankrupt the team by winning so many stages in the Giro.
I think he wasn't.
We might be editing that out. I'm not entirely sure.
I think he wasn't happy at the beginning of the season with the choice. He had to agree with it, but I think if you look at his classic season and his Giro, and then he's going to go to the Vuelta again to try to win the points jersey, I think it's pretty good for Mats.
Yeah, I don't think his season could be any better right now. And we know the Tour de France is the biggest show in cycling, but a guy like that's essentially done everything you can do in the sport of cycling, he's probably okay with it.
Wiggo, what is let's spend a sec on the time trial. 33 kilometers. It's been a second since we had of course, we come from this generation where you had 2 50-kilometer time trials, and you look at the way the sport has evolved, and time trials have gotten shorter and shorter. But 33 kilometers, it's a bit of a throwback.
Yeah, it's going to be 35 to 40 minutes of effort, which is nearly twice as long as the Dauphiné time trial was, and we saw the time differences there that Remco made.
Yep.
So I think it's considerable.
And you also saw Vingegaard put time into Pogačar.
So,
you can
and it's
factor
a very,
that in.
very similar parcours to the Dauphiné time trial. The route is pretty straightforward. It's an out and back of town. So I think it's going to be, because, the way Remco time trials, you could see him coming away there with a minute plus lead. All 4 stays together until we get to the time trial, which is considerable, but I think that will be more considerable and damaging for someone like Jonas. I don't think it really matters for Tadej, because I don't think it's going to affect him psychologically how much time he loses there, because we saw again, as soon as it goes uphill, he'll just attack.
So being the time trial specialist you were, Bradley, Olympic champion, Lance, obviously amazing time trialist. How would you guys go into these first 4 stages when you watched the way they have raced this year currently? Potentially some of these GC guys are going to try to slip away on a category 4 climb, and you're thinking of saving your legs for stage 5, but how are these guys going to balance this?
I know it's a very similar area to when 2012, and our approach was...
You and I crashed.
Yeah.
Together?
Not in 2012.
Oh, that was 2000.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, 2012. We finished in Boulogne-sur-Mer.
Yeah.
We started up in the north. We finished a stage in Saint-Quentin, and it was very simple. We stay on the front and take the initiative, and leave me as far to the front, away from all the and get to that time trial on 0 time.
But are you going to go with would you have gone with the GC guys, Contador attacking you, or are you going to rely on your team to bring them back?
Like you said before, George, they race differently now.
They do, yeah.
We didn't have that problem back then where we were concerned that a GC guy like Contador would attack on these smaller climbs. They all were on the same mindset. Let's get to the time trial on 0 time.
But we had the nerves. I was always nervous about those things. Oh my God, as a category 4 climb, who knows what happens? Yeah. That nothing was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's healthy to sit there and be worried about that, and be stressed and be aware that something could happen. But you're right. You just got to stay up front. And the X factor, as is always the case in cycling, is the wind.
Yeah.
Like it takes, in a second's notice, this race can drastically change.
And I think the team that will take the initiative to get on the front and will be Visma.
Yep.
Because Jonas will be the most nervous of the GC guys, I think, in those situations. And they have the team to do it.
He has an excellent team.
They have the team to do it.
Yeah. As does Pogačar.
Yeah.
Interesting tour, another throwback. This tour, as of course, many editions in the last, 20, 30 years, venture outside of France. This is a Tour de France. There's nobody leaving France.
Yeah. First time in a while, right? That's happened.
I like it. I like the.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
First time in 5 years that they haven't left.
And by the way, you know who else likes it? The riders like it, right? We've touched on this in previous years. When the Tour leaves France, it's so unique and so special. It doesn't matter where it goes. England, Ireland, Switzerland, Germany, Spain, Italy. It doesn't matter. It's so special for those countries that it feels like there's 10 times the amount of spectators on the sides of the road. You guys will all remember this. Tour eventually rolls back into France. Still a lot of people, but a lot less. I was like,
well, I don't know about that. I mean, they're right next door to Belgium. There's going to be
there's nothing like
crowds.
staying in a Hotel Campanile, is there?
or an Ibis. I mean, there's some good
Particularly
ones.
in the north of France.
Yeah.
You know, the best is when you see on your hotel list, because you know, for those at home who don't know, these guys know everywhere they're staying every night for 3 weeks, and right. And so you're looking down the list and you see the Campanile, right? And then say it's the Campanile next to the highway before the time trial, and you're like, shit. Right, sleep may not be great, but you're scrolling down, you see the Novotel. Boy, you're like, baby, that's my day.
Yeah.
And the Novatel's a dump. That was my point.
When I would do that, and I would do the Mosca move where I knew I never had my own room like you always did. So if I saw a Novotel like stage 5 or 6, I would call out to my roommate like, I got the big bed, because there's always one big bed and a little couch bed.
That's right.
So I'd call it early.
That's right.
And you can also tell the quality of the hotel you're going to be staying at by what other teams are staying there. So if you're with a Wanty Goubert, you're the worst, or Skill Shimano back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know you're doomed.
Skill's back in it, aren't they, this year?
Are they back in it?
I thought they were co-sponsoring
okay.
Visma.
Nike are back in it.
They are together with Rabobank. Rabobank and Skill is back. Yeah.
Yep.
And Nike, aren't they?
And Nike.
Nike, I think it is called.
Yeah. And Adidas, actually. Adidas are back in with Ineos.
Ineos. With a new co-sponsor,
Total Energy.
Total Energy, which also has a team in the Tour de France, which we were commenting on that before the show, how it's a bit odd, but apparently same umbrella group that owns both of those companies are working together now.
Yeah. And when it does start to go uphill, it really does, right? And you don't need to look any farther than the uphill time trial. We can stay in the vein of time trialing. This uphill time trial
It's a tough one.
is disgusting. Stage 13, pitches of 16%. It's
Yeah, it's really tough.
It's really tough.
Well, you mentioned also we saw earlier that the first rest day is until Tuesday, so they're going to go 10 days without a rest day. Well, 10 days of stressful, hardcore racing.
Yeah, and when I just assumed the rest days were on Mondays, as they always are, and I just in my calendar head, I thought, well, that sucks for the French, right? They're going to have their rest day on Bastille Day. They can't dye their hair and change their handlebar tape and ride around on Bastille Day. Well, you know what? ASO's smarter than me.
Yeah.
They moved it. It's not on a Monday. It's now on a Tuesday, so they will actually race on that Monday for Bastille Day, which is better.
And think about, I mean, the Tour de France is hard enough as is, but think about the potential weather swings. We're talking about starting in 60 degree temperature tomorrow, and the stage 10 and the rest day are in Toulouse, which arguably could be 95 degrees down there.
Yep.
So the amount of weather change they're going to go through in the first week is going to be pretty epic and very tough on the body. I mean, these guys are all used to doing, as Johan mentioned, heat training now and getting prepared for these super hot, hard, long stages, and they're starting off with 60 degrees, potentially wind, completely different weather. It's hard for the body to react to that.
What do y'all make of? I've just seen some of the comments and watched some of the other preview shows on YouTube. There's a lot of talk about, and this is a question for you, Johan. There's a lot of references to some of these key stages, almost pulling them out or let me say it another way. These are stages that Pogačar has suffered historically, right? And so they really highlighted. This is not surprising to us that we know that ASO likes to spice things up like this. It is their right to do it. It's their race. It's their route. But what do you make of this? That you say, boy, these are the 4 stages where he's either really suffered or even lost the Tour, and we're going to highlight those in the 2025 Tour.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Ventum, where he got dropped by Jonas and Wout van Aert. By Jonas. We have Otakam, where Wout van Aert actually dropped him while pulling for Jonas, and then we also have Col de la Loze, where he lost 8 minutes.
Which, by the way, I did Col de la Loze last year with our friend Poppy. Man, that has got to be one of the hardest climbs I've ever done in the Alps. 26 kilometers long. I mean, it is insane how long and how difficult it is at the top. I mean, pitches of 14%. I'm excited for that stage. Sorry, Johan, go ahead.
I think for Tadej Pogačar version 2025, it doesn't matter. I don't think he's completely unfazed, and I actually think, the way I've watched a few interviews of Pogačar, and he comes across as Mr. Nice Guy, but the guy he's a killer. This guy is a killer on a bike, and I think he's gonna want to make it a point to say, okay, I've suffered here, but I'm back, guys, and I'm making everybody suffer now. I'm not at all worried about Pogačar on those climbs.
Yeah, it's this relaxed vibe he throws off, but I think we all can agree that he's very calculated, and they're very organized, and he's extremely motivated. So I get it, but I don't buy it.
He's also a very different rider to what he was 2 years ago, isn't
That's
he?
right.
Mm-hmm. He's
Much better.
I agree, but I'm hoping that there is a lot of planning. There's obviously a lot of planning going on with Visma Lease Bike, and I'm hoping that they have put Jonas's whole year around these first 10 days to get through and perhaps make small differences, but really really reach his peak fitness and weight post stage 10 of this year's Tour de France, and be able to give him a battle. I mean, he sounds super confident in his pre-race press conferences where he feels better than ever. I like it. I like the way it's shaping up, because we don't want a boring race where Tadej just rides away from everybody.
Well, and Jonas says he's on record as saying, "I am stronger than ever."
Yeah.
And
So is Tadej.
Well, that's where I was going with this. Was great. That's awesome. If you're 5% stronger, whatever the percentage is that you are stronger than previous versions, the problem for him can be that if, to your point, Bradley, that if Vingegaard's 5% better, but Tadej's 7% better, I mean, that's how this math works.
Yeah. But what's good with Jonas is he's coming to win the Tour.
Yep.
That's the main thing. He's not coming here to finish second place. He's going to take it to Tadej to try and win the race. Whereas Remco,
with a team to support that.
Yes. Whereas Remco, during the week, I saw his comments talking about what was success for him at this Tour de France. And he said a stage wins in the time trial and a podium place. That kind of tells you his mindset coming into this, that having seen what he had at the Dauphiné, maybe he believes that the win is a little bit beyond him. So it will be a two-horse race, wasn't it, this Tour? But
there's something else we have to have in mind, guys. Unfortunately, and I think this is very likely to happen. It always happens. Is that with this relatively flattish start of the Tour the first week, we are going to lose one of the contenders.
That's right.
Already in week one. Yeah. And, in that case, Remco needs to be ready.
Yep. Yep. And those are not things that are pleasant to talk about. And I think collectively we were trying to avoid talking about. That's the reality of professional cycling.
Yeah.
All of these, certainly those two names we mentioned, there is a chance. And to my point a second ago, everything to lose, nothing to gain, or at least not much to gain. There is a chance we lose one of those. We're going to go to commercial break for our friends over at Peacock. We'll be right back. We'll pick it up there, and then we'll talk about the last couple of stages, including the final stage in Paris, which is different. All right, and we're back. Welcome back to the Move. George, you had a point you wanted to say.
Yeah, we've been talking about Jonas, Tadej, Remco for a bit. We haven't mentioned Primož Roglič.
Right.
And I know he's crashed a bunch in the Tour de France the last few years. I'm still a massive fan of his. Five-time Grand Tour winner, has an amazing team behind him. I'm hoping he gets through these first 10 days as well, and we can have like a mano-a-mano battle with all four of these guys. And I know, Bradley, you mentioned the dark horse before our show started. I want to hear your opinion on who that was.
I mean, I don't have a dark horse for GC. I think it's a pretty much a two-horse race, personally. But a dark horse for the third week and stage wins is the new Spanish champion, Iban Romero.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I really like this kid. He won a stage in the Dauphiné, the toughest stage in the Dauphiné.
Yeah.
I know Johan will know him quite well, but yeah, he won the Spanish title at the weekend. First Tour de France, the youngest rider in this Tour de France.
Great.
Yeah.
How old is he?
21.
21. And
I saw a stat about Ivan Romeo when Geraint Thomas did his first Tour de France.
Yeah.
Ivan Romeo was 3 years old.
Wow.
All right. Still breastfeeding.
And hopefully Movistar gives him a free card,
weird.
Johan, and not sitting there working for Enrique Mas. So obviously he's a top 5, top 10 potential candidate, but we'd love to see this kid get some freedom, go for stage wins. I mean, what the stage he won in Dauphiné was incredible. Huge amount of power. And it's great that actually Spanish team has this Spanish star, and let's see how long they can hold on to him for.
For sure.
I thought you were going to say something, Johan.
No, I mean, Romeo he's a huge talent. He's world champion under 23 time trial last year. And the way I've seen some interviews from him this week, I mean, this kid, he has a really good head on his shoulders. He knows what he wants, very confident. He's never going to be a climber. He's super tall. He's a bit too heavy, but he can get over some middle mountains. And he's a great ruler. Great time trialist. And I agree, Bradley. It's interesting guy to follow in this Tour de France.
He's been on your radar. This is a Bradley question. Since the Spanish Championships, or just
no? Before I watched him Volta Andalucía early in the year. He won a stage in February, I think it was.
I love the way you put the lisp in there.
Andalucía.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, that's what it's called, isn't it?
It is.
And he's a good kid. Young. Good.
It was Vuelta Valencia.
There we go, Vuelta Valencia.
Yeah, this is George and I were watching a few of these other preview shows on YouTube this morning. One of them pointed out that the winner of the Tour de France will get, I think it was 530,000 euros.
Yeah. We wrote down.
Which, we both sort of looked at each other and thought, well, hang on a second.
That's what it was.
That's what it was 20 years ago.
20 years ago. And it was.
In what sport? Now, this is, honestly, in what sport? Right? Where Wimbledon has started. Right, here in a couple of weeks, we'll have the Open. In what sport?
And not to mention,
has it not changed in 20 years?
20 years ago, Roland Garros was very similar to the cycling Tour de France prize money, which is at the time still is the biggest prize money in the sport of cycling. Now look at the prize money for Roland Garros. It's millions of dollars for both men and women, and we're still stuck on the same prize money that it was over 20 years ago.
I think in Wimbledon, if you go out in the first round in Wimbledon, you get £120,000.
Yeah, and this is just not, we are talking about it. You never hear this talked about.
No.
I mean, and we wouldn't have been talking about it if they hadn't noted it in this other show. And it was just one of these moments where we looked at each other like, hang on a second.
No.
What?
Back in the day, that
makes
was good,
no sense.
But now it just it makes no sense compared to the other sports. And we know that the sport of cycling has grown. We know that the viewership of the Tour de France has grown tremendously. Arguably one of the biggest, most watched sporting events in the world.
Yep.
But the prize money remains the same.
Johan?
Yeah, and the same goes for what the Tour de France pays to the teams. As their expense fee. It's been around 50,000 euros for the last 20 years, which doesn't even cover. I actually read an article about it this morning. A Belgian journalist, our good friend Jonas Creteur. We have mentioned him already in the past. He did a really good analysis about prize money and expense fee of ASO, and it hasn't changed. Same thing goes, for example, if you see how teams have grown. There's probably 45 to 50 people now at the Tour de France with the team. They still only pay for 23 people.
Wow.
And that was like this already in your days, Lance. It was 23 people. We were fighting to bring 28 with an extra 5 people. It was always a struggle. I mean, the way teams are run now, it's at least 40, 45 people. But it's still 23. So I think that has to change.
Yeah. Hopefully we start seeing some changes, but we haven't as of yet. I think we need to shout out our American riders in the Tour de France. We have 5 Americans in this year's Tour de France. Quinn Simmons, recent national champion, recent stage winner of the Tour of Switzerland, on a great season so far. I'm excited to see him representing our jersey, especially being that it's 4th of July. But need to shout him out.
Not afraid to race.
Not afraid to race.
That boy's not afraid to race.
No. He
Coolest looking guy in the peloton.
Well, I don't wanted you to. I was going to let you take that one. I know you're a big fan of the look, right? The facial hair, the look,
Yeah.
Bit of the attitude. He's definitely.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
Right, great. And we also have Will Barta on Movistar, Matteo Jorgensen and Sepp Kuss on Visma Lease a Bike, and Nielsen Palace on EF Education.
Yeah.
All of these guys, I mean, incredible climbers.
Can impact the race.
Stage win potentially. Even though we have a very small representation as a country, we got a solid representation.
That's right.
Any one of those guys can win a stage or be a big part.
We talked about certain cyclists in the past, and we call them, a couple things. Pannekuchen. There's a lot of Pannekuchen.
Yeah.
You call them pack fill, and they're just out there filling the pack.
Yeah.
Right. Our 5 guys,
These guys
no
are
panic cooking,
studs. Yeah.
no pack fill. I think all 5 of them can impact the race. And I love, Matteo. We also watched this morning Jonas's press conference. Just watching, Matteo was sitting right beside him. Didn't have a lot to say. Wasn't getting a lot of questions. But you just kind of watch a guy, right, just sitting there as the team leader is getting all these questions. Look good.
Yeah,
He looked ready.
He looks ready.
He had the stash. I know you're a big fan of this.
And,
both you guys, what the fuck is going on? I'm going to have to up my face game.
very
My
unique
facial hair
rider
game.
in the sense that he can win a classic in Belgium and be a top 3 climber in the world.
Nielsen Palace?
Yeah,
Another
that's
boy
well.
likes to race.
Yeah.
Where's the numbers?
Classics rider
Where's the
this
number?
year.
Put the numbers on my back.
$12.
Where's the start line?
Yeah,
I'm ready. All right.
yeah.
Sick.
America, baby, America.
It is, yeah. Happy birthday.
July 4th.
George will be in town later. For anybody in Aspen listening to the show, George will be rolling around town.
With a live eagle on his shoulder.
Now, you might not recognize him because his
I'm not sure
glasses
this is true,
his
but okay.
glasses will transition to dark. So just
Yep,
take
he's
a
gonna go
snapshot
dark.
of this and imagine the lens is dark. Today's show also brought to you by Ketone IQ, also our presenting sponsor. I mean, it's been a game changer. We've talked a lot in the past about how ketones have infiltrated the peloton, the effects on performance. Now we're learning the effects on recovery. Cool thing about Ketone IQ, a lot of people in the past were like, "Woo, I can taste that. That's different." Really up to the taste game, multiple different flavors, also adding in caffeine. So if anybody wants a little more caffeine, here's just some of the numbers from a science perspective. In a placebo-controlled study with trained athletes, Ketone IQ boosted average sprint power by 19%. Peak power, do you know these answers?
No.
No. Peak power by 13%, cut fatigue by 10%, and spiked blood ketones 5 times in just 20 minutes.
That's good.
Those are real numbers.
Yeah, sure.
Those are real numbers. Ketone IQ recently teamed up with Team Visma Lisa Bike and KU Leuven to explore recovery and high altitude adaptation. Key findings: improved blood flow, higher muscle oxygenation, better endurance and stamina. Take your shot. Get 30% off your subscription plus a free gift with your second shipment at ketone.com/themove. That's ketone.com/themove. Also today brought to you by Timeline. As someone who's trained hard most of my life, still continue to do so, I've learned that real performance doesn't just come from the gym. It starts at the cellular level. That's why I take MitoPure by Timeline. It's a supplement that supports cellular energy by helping your body renew its mitochondria. I asked you if you knew the numbers. Do you know that word, mitochondria? Yeah. Those tiny powerhouses inside your cells that start to slow down as you age. We can all attest to that. The science is strong. MitoPure is clinically shown to improve muscle strength in just a few months, and it supports healthy aging at the cellular level, which is something I care more about every year. Daily, I take the zero sugar gummies, simple, clean, and easy to work into your routine. If you want to stay strong and support your body at its foundation, go check out MitoPure. Head on over to timeline.com/themove to get started. You'll get 20% off as a listener of the show. That's timeline.com/themove.
I know we're getting close to wrapping up our preview show, but I also wanted to address like where these riders are at right now in their head. It's what time is it? 8. They just probably had dinner, but we all know how kind of horrible these first days leading into the Tour de France actually is. Media, health checks. You're away from your training roads. You're trying not to gain weight.
Yeah.
You're not able to ride much. They're finally like, thank God this is all over.
Yeah.
It's race time now. Even though they're all nervous, they know that all of that bullshit is done, and then they can just focus on their job and get ready to race. And that's where their headspace is right now. Like tomorrow morning, it's go time.
Do you spend the day getting your reserve bag ready for the truck?
Yeah,
You're not going to
exactly.
leave for the first rest day, All the stuff you're not going to need during the first week. You
Yes.
put in your reserve sack.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, if we're driving down here to the set and talking about this first week, this first half, Sir Bradley's calling it filthy. We're driving a car in Aspen, Colorado, and we're sitting here thinking about it. We don't have to do shit.
No, but it's going to be exciting.
These boys are thinking.
We've lived it. This is.
No, I know, but I mean, you're. And the other thing you're doing is you're looking around, right? You're in a team hotel. There's 4 or 5 other teams there. You're like,
but the difference is
just checking them out.
Of the 3 of us, if George had the opportunity, he'd be back there in a heartbeat doing that.
That's true.
We wouldn't.
That's also true.
Yeah.
There is a 0% chance.
You love it, don't you, George? You love it.
I wouldn't say that. But,
and that brings up a good point, because George and I had this. It's been a couple of years, or it might have been last year. One of the days you weren't here, Sir Bradley. We had this almost a debate. I said to George, I said, do you think that if you gave us 6 months, 9 months, 12 months of full training like these guys train, could we finish the Tour de France?
No, I couldn't.
No way.
And George immediately said no. And you are now saying no.
I couldn't.
I looked at George, I said, you are crazy. Of course I could finish. I've changed my mind. I don't think there's any way that I could finish. No.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I thought you were going to, can you finish a stage?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Come on, bro.
But the race, no chance.
No chance.
No.
I'm with you now. I don't like it. I don't like admitting that. But that's it. I don't think we could.
No, I agree.
Damn. By the way, too, the second half, and if we're talking about traditional tours and this throwback to sort of pushing the selective stages later in the race, what is traditional would have been, the day before Paris, just one of these, days where you may as well go organize your sock drawer. That's not the case, right? The penultimate stage, 3,000 meters of climbing. Then we roll into Paris. We're all used to what we see in Paris. Thank God the tour is back, finishing in Paris with the Olympics gone. But, I don't know, 8 to 10 laps on the Champs-Élysées, very ceremonial. It is very special as a rider. And it's also special to watch. Here you're talking about one of the most storied and beautiful streets in the world, boulevards in the world. But no. The tour threw in a wrench into those plans, and I like it. All right, and
I don't love it, but
it's different, right? And Johan, you and I spent time up on previewing last year when we were in Paris together, previewing the Olympic road race, climbing up the Montmartre. I'd never been there. I'm like, whoa, this is in Paris, cobbled streets, a climb, a beautiful, obviously the church on top. They have incorporated pieces of the Olympic road race into this final stage. Now the debate is, obviously, is that the right fit? But also, is that a race? Well, to back up just a skosh, nobody races the stage in Paris necessarily until the last lap and a half. Does this then make it a race, or does it impact the results coming in?
It's gonna have to be a race, and I think the rider in me doesn't like it, because historically the Tour de France is the hardest sporting event in the world. I mean, let these guys enjoy the last stage and then the race the last hour or whatever it is. Now it's going to be a full-on stress battle where potentially a podium guy can lose his spot on the last stage of the Tour de France. Exciting for the fans, but as a rider, I don't like it. I think it's disrespectful to the history of the Tour de France and to the riders.
Those are big words.
Big words.
Those are big words.
I mean, it's very narrow. It's narrow. 1 kilometer, 6%. It lends itself to crashes and all sorts. And 6 kilometers from the summit to the finish.
God forbid it rain. We know what happens when it rains on the Champs-Élysées. It's like ice skating. This is
and a couple times up, several times up, 3 times up. Is it? I think so.
4 times.
4 times up. They can't not race it. They're going to have to race it, because if you get stuck in the back, you may never see the front in those last 6K. So they're essentially forced to race this stuff. It's going to be a completely different last stage of the Tour de France. As I said, exciting for the fans, but as a rider, I don't like it.
Correction, 3 times up.
3 times up.
3 times up. You spoke to Mark Cavendish, got his thoughts on...
Mark thought it was an interesting... I mean, he's not racing now, obviously, so it has a different take on it. But he thinks, you've got to make tough decisions sometimes in order to grow the race, change things, change traditions. I do agree with George on this one. I do think that the Champs-Élysées should remain as it is.
Right.
World Championships for the sprinters.
Exactly.
Also a day to celebrate the fact that you made it to the Tour de France, that you made a top 10, that you made the yellow jersey. You graciously let me riding to the Tour de France in the front to honor my retirement. I mean, that's what the last stage of the Tour de France is all about. This is a completely different thing.
I mean, again, It's their race. It's their route. They
Yep.
can do what they want. This is not a 10-year contract. This could
It is,
This
but
could,
on that,
this could be
if they want to do that and mix up the end of the race, and then they're going to expect a different energy and a different level of nerves at the start. So they can't then necessarily expect the whole sort of pomp and ceremony.
No,
and big
nobody's drinking a champagne
before a stage like that. So they're going to have to
Right.
accept that it might change the energy at the start of the
right.
stage.
And where I was going was that this could be one and done. We're obviously we're going to find out. We'll find out. And I don't think you guys are alone in wishing that they had the traditional run into Paris. By the way, if I had to pick, I would agree with you guys. It's very special.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, we don't have to wait long.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.
we got,
See you in the Nervousness. Stage 1. Let's go.
And if at some point we'll do a little fun little walkthrough for y'all. We bolstered the Move studio. You know, we're really proud of it. Obviously, the live hit on Peacock has forced us to be a little more, maybe a lot more organized. We got the just you can't see it because you're looking at us, but just over here we'll show it maybe on socials. We got a special little section for the crew, right? We dubbed it the Huckberry Chill Chamber. The folks at Huckberry sent us a bunch of sick furniture, got the TV. We will be here watching it. I don't know. We got to walk like 5 steps. It was very important, because it's difficult to organize people like George and even at times Sir Bradley. So they can't run far. I'm right here. They're right there. I got
we're
them.
on NBC every day. We got a time clock. We're not on our own time anymore.
This is it.
All right, boys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys live tomorrow morning.